Today, I'm going to explain part 2, 3, and 4 of the Doctrine of Reincarnation. I'm going to start with this picture here. These are the different stages of life, starting with birth, childhood, adolescence, marriage and romance, and up here is family life. You can see the father and mother and 2 children. This next image, there's an explosion of light. You see these circles? And a man is lying in bed here who has died. And there are 3 people standing at his bedside representing 3 different viewpoints. He's going to hell, he's going to heaven, and the lady here in the middle, with her hands over her eyes, represents she cannot see. She doesn't know because she can't see through the veil of matter. Now this wheel here is called the Dharma Chakra, the wheel of law in Buddhism. And it represents the endless or repetitive cycle of life from birth to death, governed by karma. That is called samsara. That means this man who has died is going to reincarnate based on his good and bad deeds. That is the doctrine of Buddha, the Enlightened One. Standing behind Buddha here is a skeleton, and he has his hand over his eyes, representing Buddha can see beyond death. Now I'm going to go next to part 3. Can we move that over? Okay, this is part 3. This is Krishna. Now this tree here represents that in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna taught reincarnation. As he said in chapter 2:13, just as the self advances through childhood, youth, and old age in its physical body, so it advances to another body after death. Now, we have the 3 stages here represented. Childhood, the age, this is youth, the age of virility or manhood. And this is old age, followed by death. And this line right here represents the cycle of life repeats itself after death, as Krishna says. So it advances to another body after death. Now this old man here with this stick represents when you believe and understand this cycle of life taught by Krishna. That's the principle of wisdom or old age. Now I'm going to go to part 4. Can we go to part 4? Okay. This is a medieval woodcut of the Wheel of Fortune. And as you can see here, there are Latin inscriptions on the wheel and on these scrolls. And I contacted a professor at a nearby university, Catholic, who teaches Latin. And he said, these inscriptions are not clear enough to translate. And I also sent an email to trusted Translations, Inc., and asked them if they could translate these Latin inscriptions. And they sent me an email saying that they would give me a quote as early as tomorrow. Now, I sent that email out on July the 5th. I've never gotten a quote or a reply. Now, this image or woodcut here, I got from the website, the Cultural Association Laetero, which is in Italy. And I asked them if they had a clearer copy, or they could translate these Latin inscriptions. And just 2 days ago, I got an email from Andrea Vitali, and here's what he said. Translation would not be a problem, but right now I am writing 3 books and cannot devote myself to your request. I can deal with it in early December. Write me in December if you are still interested. The translation of these Latin inscriptions is not necessary to explain the images. And since I scheduled to make this video today, I'm going to go ahead without them for now. Now, this medieval woodcut, the print that I have, is not clear enough for the video. So I had to redraw it. Can we go to the next image here? This is the redrawn copy. There are 7 images here that surround the wheel of fortune, describing the cycle of life from birth to death. So I'm going to start here with image number 1. This wooden-like rocker baby crib here represents the knowledge that the spirit of man here goes to sleep and wakes up. And this man with the burial wrap represents, understand 2 principles, the 2 feet. The physical body dies, not the soul. Now this child standing here gestures. Twice understand. Death in the underworld is like sleep, and birth like awakening. That's what these 2 signs mean. They're the same or similar. Now this clump of grass blades here represents life is germinated on earth. It goes through various stages and then it dies. Now I'm going to go to image number 2. A child is standing here and he holds a pinwheel. And by his side is a small animal, representing, understand 2 more principles. The human spirit repeatedly incarnates into an animal, but more likely a human, and he points here to the Wheel of Fortune. This is a principle of the Wheel of Fortune. Now this clump of grass blades here represents life is born on earth, it lives for a period of time, and it dies. And this clump of grass blades here represents it is reborn again. Now I'm going to go up here to image number 3. A man holds a disc and a bird, representing, understand 2 more principles. The sun and the spirit of mind are human and divine. And he wears a tunic and leggings which were popular in the Middle Ages, representing the physical body like clothing wears out and has to be replaced. Now, this clump of grass blades here represents life is born on earth, human and divine, and dies and is reborn again. This clump of grass blades here is reborn again. Both. Now this man riding the Wheel of Fortune here, and he's holding a spear representing the first principle of the Wheel of Fortune is willpower, ruled by man's spirit, mind, and senses. And the spearhead here represents desire is a component of willpower. And in his other arm he holds a shield, representing another principle or power, your heart or blood. Now the fifth image here, a man sits at a table. And on top of the table, there are 3 coins. And he holds the 4th coin in his left hand, representing the truth of 4 principles of the sun: male, female, carnal, and divine. And he's sitting on this stool, representing understanding 2 more principles. And he points to the sign here, representing the yes and no, carnal and divine, right spirit of the sun, male. And the second sign here, the same sign, represents the yes and no, carnal and divine, right spirit of the male, female. Understand that these are 2 human rights. Now this clump of grass blades here represents this power of life begins with puberty, and it increases until one reaches the prime of life, and then it decreases and dies out in old age. So the best time to make this decision is at the prime of life. Now the 6th image here is an old man, and he's holding a stick, and he's pointing to the Wheel of Fortune, representing this is a principle of wisdom if you understand and believe these principles of the Wheel of Life. Now the 7th image here, this is the 7th image, and this sign points to man dies sooner or later from these various causes. Old age, diseases, accidents, wars, epidemics. That's inevitable. Now the basic meaning here of the wheel is that it revolves. The cycle of life repeats itself. And this man in the middle is holding 2 spokes. And his legs are aligned with 2 spokes, representing, understand, and grasp 4 principles of the Wheel of Fortune: mother and father, carnal and divine. Now the 5th spoke represents the 5 senses. That determines your path, what you do. Now the 6th principle is sex. Now one of these principles, or the 7th, is willpower. And the 8th are the 8 right spirits of the sun, of the genetics or birth of the Son of Man, that makes possible this repeat cycle of life, represented by the smaller circle, and the genetics or birth of the Son of God, represented by this larger circle, the light of the world, that helps man achieve a good life, not a bad life or tragic. Now, the angel here in front or below represents understanding two more principles. And it refers to these scrolls here. This is the doctrine of human knowledge or facts and divine revelation. This shield, charged with the palladium, represents this doctrine that we're talking about here, is authorized for Episcopal or Christian instruction. This is now a sanctified Christian doctrine. Now, in December, I might send Andrea Vitale an email. And if I can get a translation of these Latin inscriptions, I might do a redo of this video, or create a new website and post the translation of these Latin inscriptions with the video. I am finished with part 2 and 3 and 4 for now. You can go ahead and